Welcome back. Now, a French delegation led by the Vice President of the France Northern Region, Hauts-de-France, is in Namibia, and they will be granted a presidential audience. And they were granted a presidential audience at State House yesterday. Now, the delegation will, among others, meet with the Namibian head of state to take stock of the progress made on the different aspects of the bilateral relations between the two nations. And with more on this, I'm joined by Vice President of the France Northern Region, Hauts-de-France, that's Mr. Francois De Costa, as well as the French ambassador to Namibia, that's His Excellency Sébastien Mignon. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Good Morning Namibia. Mr. De Costa, welcome to Namibia. I hope our country has been good to you so far.
Yes, very well. Actually, this is my second visit.
Second visit.
Because I came 15 years ago when I was working for the education minister.
Fantastic.
So I'm really happy to be back in Namibia, but this time to speak about the bilateral relation that we have started a few years ago with my region, Hauts-de-France region, northern France. That is a big region of 6 million inhabitants. That is just a few kilometers from Paris, up to the channel, the English Channel, and close to the Belgian border. So it's between basically Paris, London, and Brussels. So a strategic geography.
Fantastic. Tell us about some of the main economic activities in that particular part.
We are quite an industrial area. We have big names, but we do also a lot of trade. It's agriculture is very important as well. We attract a lot of foreign investment. We're the #1 region in Europe for the direct foreign investments in manufacturing, for example, because this is a key geographic position, namely after Brexit also. Because we attract a lot of American investments, so it's a growing economy for us. It's very positive, and also we want to strengthen our international cooperations.
Very much. Yeah. And of course, Ambassador Mignon is also here. Talk to us about how important it is to, of course, establish that link between Hauts-de-France and Namibia, as well as the broader, French nation here.
It's very interesting indeed. So if I may add a few words about what connects Namibia with Hauts-de-France. Both have splendid dune landscapes and seascapes, an old mining tradition, warm hospitality. So there is some basis for that cooperation. And yes, in fact, that collaboration has started a few years ago. There was that first visit of a delegation from the region in February 2020, right before COVID. Then His Excellency the President came to Lille, was welcomed by Francois De Costa at the regional headquarters in November 2021, right before going to Paris for other meetings and events. And now the region is coming back to Namibia, and we really appreciate that, because it's a work in progress. It's a partnership that step by step makes progress. Some of the decisions and next steps considered when the President was in Paris, in Lille last November, did take place. A project about potatoes, potato varieties was considered then.
Fantastic.
And now there is a young agronomist working in Namibia to develop that business.
Very much
and also not only a business, but a cooperation with the Namibian Agronomic Board. So it's a broad cooperation across the board on port to port between the port of Dunkirk and Walvis Bay, Namport. That potatoes project, but also higher education, culture.
Very much so. Ambassador, of course, you've been in the country for about 2 years now as French ambassador to Namibia. How would you describe the relations overall between our two nations here?
They are very good indeed. So France has been very supportive of the cause of independence long before it happened. And 10 years before independence, there was an ambassador stationed in Paris representing SWAPO party, that was considered as representing the people of Namibia. That ambassador was His Excellency Tuliameni Kalomo. And the political relationship is still very, very good. The President has come 3 times to France in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So in November, in February for a One Ocean Summit in Brest.
Yeah.
And then he came to Paris for the final game of the Champions League
Yes.
between Liverpool, his favorite club, and Real Madrid.
Unfortunately, they lost in that one, eh?
Too bad. On the economic side, we have many French companies or Franco-Namibian companies very active in the country on very pioneering projects. So Orano has built the first desalination plant south of the Sahara, north of Henties Bay, with the uranium mine. Veolia is operating a very pioneering water reclamation plant for the city of Windhoek. Hydrogène de France is working on a project of a hydrogen power plant in Swakopmund, and so on. So on the economic side, there are many promising projects.
Very much indeed.
On the cultural side, we have our Franco-Namibian Cultural Center in Windhoek, which you know well. President Chirac came to Windhoek in 1998 for the groundbreaking ceremony, and it was inaugurated 2 years later. It's a very vibrant institution, as you know, in the center of Windhoek, both on French courses, but also cultural programming, music, theater, shows, exhibitions. So, and what is very, very interesting about the Franco-Namibian Cultural Center is that it's Franco-Namibian. It's not only a French cultural center, it's really bilateral, with a contribution from the French government, with a contribution from the Namibian government, and we work together.
There's really become a cornerstone of preserving culture.
Thank you
in both nations here.
Thank you for noting that.
Monsieur De Costa. Oh, sorry.
And and many scientific projects, very interesting. The gamma ray astronomy on the HESS telescopes, the project for which Francois came 15 years ago with his minister. And yesterday that project celebrated 20 years.
Oh, wow.
It was a big event. Also, archaeology is a strong pillar of our scientific cooperation. So across the board, we have a very good partnership between France and Namibia.
Very much so indeed. Monsieur De Costa, of course, you as Vice President of the Northern Region, Hauts-de-France, ultimately, how would you like to see the relations between your region and Namibia, of course, complement each other?
I would say I would like to see a very operational cooperation, and that's what struck me yesterday when we went to State House. We're not starting a cooperation. We have seen how much His Excellency the President has personally involved into it. We actually did a kind of a follow-up of a very clear and very precise roadmap, taking sector after sector. The ambassador I just mentioned, the cooperation we have launched between our ports, Port of Dunkirk and Walvis Bay. The delegation is going this morning, driving to Walvis Bay to keep on working on that issue. And yesterday we had, before we went to State House, a very fruitful meeting with Minister Claassen on fisheries, and there might be also cooperation. We have one of the best port in Europe for transformation of the fishes, and actually we have developed technologies, techniques that let us transform 100% of the fish. There's no waste anymore. And that is for also a new area of cooperation to see how we can cooperate on that issue to make that we have a more sustainable and valuable fishery also here. But we've seen on other sectors, agriculture, the ambassador has just mentioned. We had decided last November, when His Excellency the President came to Lille, that we needed to make progress also with the company called Compagnie du Plan, which is based in our region. We needed to have someone recruited in Namibia to help also the work of the company. That has been done. There's a young agronomist who came 4 months ago. We met him last year at the French residence. He's very happy, very involved in the development of the company, of the cooperation. And we could say to the President that this decision taken together a few months ago in Lille is now put in place,
Very
and
much.
this is a progress. This is very important. And
Fantastic.
we had a long development on renewable energy,
Yeah.
which is really
And I just
important.
wanted to ask Ambassador about that. Of course, there's a lot of talk, about renewable energy. Namibia, of course, is with a great potential in terms of supplying the world, be it ammonia. Just how is France positioning itself, and how do the bilateral relations speak on that front here?
I mentioned Hydrogène de France, so
Yeah.
that young French company working on hydrogen and preparing a power plant in Swakopmund in a close dialogue with NamPower.
Yeah.
The model of that plant will be to produce solar power and to stabilize the power thanks to hydrogen. You know, the problem with PV panels or windmills is that they produce intermittent power. With hydrogen, you may stabilize that.
Yeah.
They have done a power plant in French Guiana, and the model of power plant is called Renew Stable. So it's both renewable and stable.
Yeah.
So that's our, and perhaps Hydrogène de France will be the first player on green hydrogen in Namibia before the big project in the Sperrgebied is implemented.
Very much, yeah.
His Excellency the President was at COP21 in Paris a few years ago, 7 years ago. We know that Namibia is very involved in the transition, decarbonization of the economy, as is France. And that green hydrogen project in the Sperrgebied is in that direction.
Yeah.
The day after the President was in Lille last year, he went to Paris and he had a workshop on green hydrogen in Paris.
Yeah.
So we take the project, we take that dimension very seriously. As you know, one French major in the oil and gas sector has discovered oil and gas in the offshore Namibia, offshore Luderitz, as has done Shell. So they will be working on it because Namibia is supporting the green transition, but is also entitled to benefit from its resources, natural resources, and Total Energies will be contributing in that regard. So a transition, but a just transition.
Yeah. Perhaps you can give us an overview, Monsieur De Costa, about the energy situation, particularly for the region of Hauts-de-France here. What does it look like on that front, and of course, what is the long-term plan and vision in terms of energy for your region here?
Actually, as the ambassador mentioned, we used to be a mining region, and mines closed 30 years ago. So since that time, we're really looking for the new energetic model of that region. More than 12 years ago, we have launched what we've called the third industrial revolution, that we call now under the label REV3. And basically, this is to find a new way. We're working a lot on renewable energy. We tend to try to use the wind energy, but more offshore than on land, because we have developed a lot on land, and now we're going to stop. We're working a lot on hydrogen as well, and we are becoming little by little like an electric battery valley. We've got 3 gigafactories that are under construction in our region, because we have a very important automotive industry from the past, and now we have to move to electric vehicles. So everything is built to create a value chain through electricity. We have the largest nuclear plant in Europe for 30 years that will be transformed into a next generation nuclear plant. So we want to decarbonize our energy, when we used to be a very carbonized region. So that's the reason why that view, that label REV3, really is like an umbrella for all our policy. all our policies. When we speak about mobility, we have experienced the first bus line in France working only with hydrogen. For our gymnasiums, this is the same. For all the policies, we have started to think about our energetic model more than 12 years ago. So that's the reason why we feel that with Namibia we've got a lot of things to share. Absolutely. We've got a few companies like Innovant, which is based in our region, and they're now in a consortium here in Namibia on solar farms with InnoSun. So we think we have a lot of things to do together.
Fantastic. Ambassador, just as we conclude the interview.
Yeah, just wanted to mention Innovant when Francois did so. You know InnoSun. So InnoSun has been the first player in Namibia about wind energy, wind power and solar energy. InnoSun is a joint venture, Franco-Namibian, and the French headquarters of Innovant are in Villeneuve-d'Ascq, very close to Lille, in the Hauts-de-France region. Fantastic. It's one of the very successful economic projects between France and Namibia, and French and Namibian actors.
Fantastic. Just as we, of course, conclude, just what does the rest of the itinerary look like for the rest of your stay here in the country?
Unfortunately, I have to leave very soon. But I think this is very important when we want to strengthen a bilateral cooperation, not the length of the stays, but coming on a regular basis, having very committed actors, and we are so honored that His Excellency the President, his ministers are so committed to this relation. Absolutely. This is the same with our President.
And the great work continues with our ambassador.
And our ambassadors, they do fantastic work.
Yes, very much.
We're working very closely together. In March, he sent me a picture, a photograph of grapes from Namibia on the shelves of a supermarket in Paris.
Amazing.
So that's part of the bilateral trade, and we like that.
Very much so. Monsieurs, thank you so much for being here this morning. We wish you all the best with, of course, the future and the great work that has gone into the partnership so long. And we can't wait to see how Hauts-de-France and, of course, Namibia will complement each other going forward. Thank you so much for being here, and all the best here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. The French ambassador to Namibia, that's Sébastien Mignot, as well as Vice President of the Northern Region of Hauts-de-France, that's Mr. Francois De Costa, just talking to us about their visit to the country. Of course, they visited State House yesterday, where they had a meeting with the President, just touching on some of the details and contents of the bilateral relation with Namibia and France, of course, but looking at how they can further spur this partnership. And of course, there's great potential, as you've heard here, and we can't wait to see what the future looks like for our two nations. Stay with us here.